Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very intimidating looking guest. He's smiling to my right. But let me tell you, this is a guest that I've wanted on for years. He's a really, really long lost friend of mine for probably like 30 years. His name is Danny Jam. I call him Danny Jam. I learned his last name was Kavadlo probably a couple months ago. Not just joking. But I've always went by the name of Danny Jam. This is one of the most incredible individuals and stories we're going to ever probably have on this podcast. But ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Danny Kavadlo. Welcome to the show, Danny.
I am absolutely delighted to be over here. I gotta say, so for anybody watching who knows me, you're used to seeing me on fitness podcasts, Red Delta Project, Jason Perugia, Super Strength Show, different ones like that. Mike is not coming from that world.
No,
Mike is old Brooklyn. Old Brooklyn when you're watching. This is Mike Grandy. This is a childhood friend who's gone on to do amazing things here.
Thank you.
I've been told this about me.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? To that point, not many people call me Grandy. It's all Grande now. Because when I went into the Wall Street world, I'm like, yeah, somebody said Grande, just let's make it Grande. So the people that use the last name Grandy, I know those are my real friends.
That's right. Same like people that call me Danny Jam.
That's exactly right. So before we get
I remember Mike Grandy, like the Rio.
Right. Exactly right. Like the Rio. And we go back so far that when I saw you after, I want to say it was probably like 25 years before I saw you now.
Right.
And I knew you as Danny Jam.
Right.
Danny Jam was the guy who had really long hair.
Yeah.
And you were a phenomenal drummer. And your brother was Jesse Jam, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And phenomenal guitar player, great hair. And you guys, Checkmate was the name of the band. So I, in my mind, always thought you were always going to be the great drummer in a band, and maybe you do something big with it because you guys were so incredibly talented. I mean, everybody knew that you were incredibly talented. And then I see you here. So I really want to learn what happened to you as the Danny Jam, how that turned into the Muscle Man Danny Jam, and then how it turned into being an influencer. When I say influencer, 7 books. I've seen you, the New York Times has articles on you from 2013. And your brother is was on the same track as you, Muscle and Fitness. It was like the last thing I would have ever expected. So take me to the very last time you started playing drums.
Okay. Well, yeah, right. So those of you that know me from fitness, I play drums. I used to play drums. I used to do music and nothing else. So Mike knows me from when I was a kid, a teenager, right?
Yeah.
So we played in this band Checkmate in Brooklyn. We played Lemoore, one of these local bands. And that actually ended in the early 90s. In 1994, I joined a different band.
What was the name of that band?
Well, this was in between. This you might not know. This was a band called Molotov Cocktail, right? This is June 6th. This is a funny story. I saw an ad in the Village Voice. Don't look for it. It doesn't exist. Newspapers in general don't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It might be online.
Holy man.
And it just said, punk band needs drummer for European tour. I was 19 years old. I called up the phone number because people called phones then.
And people answered it. It wasn't a text.
You know, this guy said, come down. They had a basement studio on Avenue A and East 7th Street. And the East Village was different then.
Oh, yeah.
Like 94, it was like heroin addicts.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
crack
whatever.
all
over the place.
And so I went down, I auditioned. This is true. On a Monday, they said, we're playing Continental. Don't look for it. It's not there anymore. We're playing Continental on a Friday.
All those places are not there anymore.
I play Continental with them on a Friday. Turns out the guy is the sound guy at Continental and CB's also. And then they're like, okay, we're leaving in June.
CBGB's, which is not there anymore.
Holy
smokes.
Don't look for it. I wound up 19 years old. I go to Germany, France, and Switzerland.
Are you serious?
With this band. This is the first tour I did. Yeah, no, it was quick. You got to be quick to catch this, you know.
Holy smokes.
And that was my first tour. It was like 20-something shows in 30 days. We traveled in a car. I was like 19. The other guys were like 28.
So in Europe you traveled because you could do that in Europe.
Yeah. It was wild. So we played all these shows, and it was like different. We were playing like squats. Like abandoned buildings where they had punk shows. It was such a weird time. And this is Germany. We played all over the place. So we played like after the Berlin Wall came down. We played Berlin, which is like central now. But back then, it was like we're talking about 94. So we're talking about like a punk rock scene. So that happened. I come back to the States June 6 to July 6, 94. I come back to the States, and I have a message. So you remember from Checkmate, the Checkmate days, we recorded with Josh Silver.
Yes.
From Typo Negative, Sty in the Sky. I call it Rabbi in the Sky Studios.
And that's okay, because you're Jewish.
That's right, I can do that. And that's right, YouTube land, I'm Jewish.
I'm sorry. Do you want to cut that?
No.
Okay.
Well, hey, don't ask to do that.
Oh my, this is gonna be a great podcast.
So, anyway, so Josh, we recorded Checkmate there. This one before Typo was brand new. They were Repulsion. And then, whatever, it turns out I come back from this tour, Checkmate broke up. Josh is producing this other band called Pissed On.
Oh, that's right.
That's what it was. And I got a call from the singer, Henry, and he was like, I got your number from Josh Silver from Typo. He said, he's producing us. I tried out for them. I joined the band. I was still like 20 now.
Yeah.
And we did a million shows. I mean, we opened for Korn, we opened for Sugar Ray, we opened for the Misfits, for Anthrax, Cannibal Corpse.
Holy smokes!
Obviously, Typo, Life of Agony. A lot of great bands. We played all over the country, Europe again. And then that came to a screeching halt at a certain point. And then I played in a couple different bands and whatnot. And then around, I guess it was early 2000s, I just switched careers. I was like, you know what? I got to just try to make money.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Well, you didn't go into teaching. You didn't want to start teaching or working like in a club or something like that? Session guy?
You know, I had done some things. I had done some session drumming. I actually... I played on the Gravesend, the movie. There's a show called Gravesend now, but there was a movie called Gravesend, executive produced by Oliver Stone. And I played drums on one of the tracks on it with Lords of Brooklyn, which was like a white, corny Italian Beastie Boy white rap.
I know.
But I played drums. I wasn't in the band. I didn't do any white rap. So... Whatever. Mike Anderson, another good friend from Brooklyn, old school Brooklyn. If you're watching,
absolutely.
Mike Anderson.
Was he
got
in
me a
Pissed
job.
On? He was
not. He was not. But at the time,
he was in Gas.
He was in Gas. Johnny Cook.
Yeah. Holy cow, we're going back.
And he got me a job working for an event marketing company. It sounds fancy, but I was basically loading and unloading trucks.
He's doing that now. He's still doing event marketing.
He's doing a lot of things, man. He's doing a lot of things. He's doing stuff that I don't even know what it is.
That's always Mike Anderson, though.
So I started doing production, and I had a good career with production.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I started off loading the truck, then I get promoted to driving the truck, and then a year later I'm managing the whole tour. And I remember my production manager in-house was like, like I had guys with master's degrees in marketing working under me, and I'm a proud Brooklyn College dropout. So I remember my production manager says to me, he's like, we got to get more rock and roll guys doing this. If you break a tire, you fix it. He's like, these marketing guys, they get a flat, they call me. I'm like, yeah, what are you going to tell me to do?
Exactly, right.
So that went on and on and on. So I'm winding down to where we're at today. This is maybe early 2000s, and when I was doing event marketing, I worked for, I had a unique style. All these brands like to have different people represent them, even on a corporate level. So let's say a brand, a more, let's say, corporate type conservative brand might be going for a certain type of brand ambassador. The company that kept requesting me was a well-known liquor brand because I was a good manager for it. I could go into the clubs. I had band experience, so I was comfortable dealing with event marketing and promotions that didn't start till midnight and went on till 4 a.m. I was cool doing that.
That's your
Now
scene.
I wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But I was very good with that, and I was better than the marketing guys were at that. So I had a niche. And working for this particular brand, it was booze. And my brother Al, hey, at the time, Kavadlo, was personal training. He was living in Chicago at the time.
He started this before you did?
He started it before I did.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like, you should be a trainer. I was like, that's not a real job. And I'm like, well, it's true, it's not.
You're making a living? But are you making a living?
I'm making a living.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, right. The
So
mayor tried to stop that during COVID, but that's another story.
that's-
But what happened is he said you should try doing this. And I was getting tired. My son Wilson was just born. This is 2006.
I didn't even know you had a son.
Oh yeah, he's bigger than me. He's this big.
Wow, Wilson, like the guy, like the basketball,
the volleyball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wilson.
Is that where you got it? Because it's around the same time.
It is. It's
hope
inspired by the movie.
I hope not.
Joe
versus the volcano.
Is we wanted to call him Logan, right?
Yeah, that's a good name.
And then. It is a good name, and then I'm so glad we didn't because every kid born in 2006 is named Logan
That's
right
true.
now.
That is
There's
true.
not a lot of Wilsons. It's one of those names. It's a classic.
Yes.
But you've heard it a million times, so it's familiar.
How old is he now?
He's going to be 17 in July.
Driving?
I take him driving right now. He's got his permit.
So
So I start training, right? And it's 2006. I'm like, I don't want to do the liquor anymore because, when I worked for the liquor company, this was no bullshit. I curse, right?
Yes,
So this was no BS. My job specifically, listen guys, let's talk about marketing. Every marketing is going for a different demographic.
Right.
The people that you think are telling you the truth are lying to you. They're trying to take your money, and this happens in ways you can understand and ways you don't.
Wait, what do you mean?
understand.
When you talk about hiring somebody to market your particular
I'm talking about all
product?
marketing.
Okay.
So I'm talking in broad strokes.
Yeah.
I'm going to narrow it down.
Please,
and I'm
yes.
going somewhere with it.
Because this is
So
important.
what we did when I worked for this liquor company, the demographic was called ELD, which is entry-level drinkers.
Wow.
So we would specifically target
17,
kids that
18-year-old?
were 21.
Oh.
But how do you target kids that are under 21 and make it legal?
Yeah.
You go to Cancun where there's no drinking age. But we don't want to target
There's no drinking
Mexican
age?
kids. No. We want to. Why do you think every American goes there and gets
I
sick?
thought 18, but no, I thought 18.
Well, 18, whatever,
Okay.
right? I think you could probably be 14. It would be okay, you know?
Right.
So that's the New York we grew in.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So it just when my son was born, it just started seeming really weird to me that I was the entry level drinking guy. That wasn't what I planned to do, but you have these shifts in perspective, and then I was like, you know what, maybe I can do something different. Now I didn't know you could make a job as a personal trainer. Again, it's still ridiculous.
I didn't
but
know
I do.
you can really do. I know people work in gyms.
Right. Well, I did that. So
Okay.
in 2006, I started working in a gym. I was hired by New York Health and Racket Club on Astor Place. It was a busy, big box gym,
good
which I
city.
recommend for any trainer. Oh, don't look for it. It's not there anymore.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Astor Place or the gym?
The gym.
Okay, 'cause
the
Astor
gym.
Place
The
is
gym.
still-
Astor Place is still there. I think even the Cube is still there. So I started out, and again, you got to picture it, right? So I'm 31 years old. I'm an entry-level junior trainer. The other entry-level junior trainers were 18, 19 years old. First job out of high school.
So how did you
I'm
learn?
31.
How did you learn to even become a trainer? You get certified?
Yeah, I did get certified after I got the job.
Oh.
So yeah, all these places will just hire you. They're like, yeah, get certified. Now I've been working out for a very long time, even on tour, right?
Really?
Even on tour, playing in bands. I'd be doing crunches in bar, beer-soaked wooden floors. I'd be doing push-ups and
I didn't
piles
realize
of
how
puke.
health you were into.
Well, I mean, I was
that.
like 15 when I knew you.
That's true. That's true.
I did push-ups then,
Yeah.
but it hadn't been for that long. So I developed a work ethic, having been in bands for a long time and having been on the road. There's an old saying that I believe I coined that says, musicians make great trainers. After being exploited as musicians for so long, it's relatively easy to be exploited as a trainer.
Yeah.
So for me,
That's
I
true.
stood up at 6 in the morning. Fine, I only traveled an hour to be there.
Right.
I didn't drive 3 states across to play for 3 people.
That's
That's
right.
what you're
And
used to as a
get paid
musician.
$60. Yeah.
Right, right. I didn't drive 400 miles from midnight to 8 a.m., hang out in a club from 8 a.m. to midnight
true.
again to play for 3 people. So the exploitation as a trainer was easy. So within time, I was promoted from entry-level junior level 1 trainer
How long did
to
that take?
entry-level junior level 2 trainer.
How long did that take, that process?
Well, here's the nice thing about gyms is if you can sell the training, they promote you. So having had more life experience, having sold $40,000 events into a college bar for 3 months straight all over America, I was pretty good at selling personal training. The best thing about me selling personal training is I never lie. All I have to do is tell the truth, show them the value in it, and
But
people
you
want
look
to do
at
it.
somebody like you and you're like, this guy knows what he's talking about. You know,
Yeah,
you
I'm
walk the
600
walk.
years old. That's
No,
right.
I mean, you walk the walk, right?
I'm trying,
You're
baby.
built, your books out, you have a lot of integrity, and based on that, people can look at you and says, there's some content here. You're going to
Yeah.
train me, I want to look like you.
And I think, it's not even that. I think it's just meeting people where they're at. The older I get, and I'm going to deviate a little bit and be a little bit maybe hippie or dippy or corny or whatever, but like the older I get, the more I realize is no matter what it is, whether it's personal training, whether it's life, whether it's parenting, whether it's your love relationship, your friendships, your enemies, whatever you come across, you really want to lead with empathy. You really want to lead with empathy, and that's something I was less good at when I was younger. But you get older, and you
I feel the
change.
same way. You're
and
right.
like when I meet somebody as a trainer, it's not about I want to get jacked like this guy. It's like, where are you at? This is where you're at. How can we help you get from here to here? Okay, a lot of people that hire a trainer, they're in a place where they don't, something that I might take for granted, they don't take for granted. So it's just a matter of maybe convincing an individual to have an open mind.
Yep.
You know, I work with someone today who I've been talking to on the phone for 3 weeks. And she's like, I hate exercise. I'm not good at working out. I said to her on the phone, I'm like, hey, I'll bet in your day-to-day life you do something that's more difficult than working out. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of stupid people that can work out.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
Science. So, you know, just be open-minded to things. So leading with empathy instead of saying, no, it's easy, let me show you.
Right.
It's like, let me see where you're at. Why do you think it's hard? Where are you at? And I think, again, my age, you know, when you persevere in shit, a lot of the time your weaknesses need to become your strengths, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're 31 and everyone else is 18 and you got a baby, you know, you just quit your job. You know, you rely on what you have, and it's like Eminem in 8 Mile. You know, he's like, I live in a trailer with my mom. I'm like, all right, I am older than everybody.
And he exposes himself.
But this is what I have to offer because of that, and I think that helped me. So in less than a year, my manager got fired, and I was the manager of the gym.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they moved me to their biggest location, which was on 23rd Street and 6th Avenue.
Is it there anymore?
It's not. It's a Lifetime Fitness.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, the more things change, right? You've been out in Jersey for 10 years.
Everything's gone. Everything is gone. So, you know, it's a lot to say about your journey, but the first is that you mentioned you didn't go through Brooklyn College. You dropped out, right?
Yeah.
But you're an incredible salesman. There's also something to do with personality and character, right?
Yeah.
Because you can have all those accolades and degrees and all that shit hanging on your wall, but you can't do anything other than work in an office and just do the thing. You come out of your shell and people gravitate to you. And by the way, growing up, knowing you were an amazing guy. I don't have a bad memory of you or your brother or, you know, Johnny O and Pete and stuff. And I believe anyway, you're the sum of the people you hang around.
Right.
And I always felt like I hung around with great people.
Yeah, we did.
Your brother's a super smart guy. You came from a great family too.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Well, but you know, the one thing I do say is that every time you played a show, I was at your house the next day picking up Johnny O, hanging out.
Yeah, Johnny O picking him up off the floor.
Oh yeah, always. But I would go in, I'd be like, but how come, you know, Jesse doesn't have his guitar already taken out of his case? He leaves it there for 2 days, and Danny Jam didn't unpack his drum set. It was like, I can't believe they did that, and they're so great. It was everything came natural to you guys. Music came natural. Working out looks like it comes natural, but I know there's a lot of hard work.
Like anything, right?
Yeah.
So that's a nice thing about working out. Working out distills these things. You know, there's so many things. Again, to talk about music or talk about art or talk about any of this stuff. There's so many things that you can do in life where it doesn't matter what effort or energy or yield you put. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. I lied. It does matter, but it's limited. The what you reap is not necessarily what you sow. What I love about working out is what you put in is what you get out. Think about it. You're a musician. You practice all day. You write this amazing song. Is anyone going to hear it? Maybe. It's not just a question of how much you rehearse.
Do you want me to sing Tiger Eyes? I could Jesse Jam. I could sing. I could somewhere you're out there sleeping through. I know all songs.
The only two of us are going to watch this podcast. Me and you, but we're going to love it.
I know.
But with the fitness thing, you put the hours in. And look, everybody's different. Everybody's genetics are different. Everybody's going to turn out differently. But every person can be their finest version of what they're doing, depending on the effort that they're prepared to put in and the amount of time and energy that they choose to delegate to it.
So if Al didn't say you should be a personal trainer, would you have gone to this path, down this path?
So I'll give two answers. First one is, Second one is, I can't say if personal training chose me or I chose it.
Is that
the truth is somewhere in between?
Oh, I got
right?
you. Yeah, no, I totally get it.
If he did, honestly, at the time, I was just feeling very conflicted. You got to remember too, I was really good on the road. Like I was really fucking good on the road.
Drums.
I was managing tours that had like promotional marketing tours that had like 3 truck drivers, like 2 semis, you know, hiring models, everything like internationally. And I remember the guy who interviewed me, the first personal training manager that interviewed me for Cooper Square, New York Health and Racket. He asked me, he looked at my resume. He was like, "Let me ask you one more question, Eric." And he goes, why do you want to be a personal trainer? He's like, you're probably doing pretty good with this. And I was at a place where I needed to switch. So I did that at the gym from 2006 to 2010. Then I did go independent in 2010. So I don't work for a gym now. I went independent as a trainer. I work independently now.
The past 13 years, you're on your own. Solo entrepreneur.
100%.
So that's the thing I've read about you and learned about you is that you do this. So do you go and train people? You go around do speaking events? Because I saw you do speaking events.
Yeah. So we got a lot that we do. So
when you say we,
I mean me. I'm doing the Queen's English, right? I guess the royal family's in the fucking news these days. So I work here in New York City as a personal trainer. That's my main job.
Where do you work out of? Is there a gym that people can...
I work out everywhere. If you need to get me, hit me on the Instagram, Danny Kavadlo, DannyKavadlo. You Google me, whatever, DannyTheTrainer.com. My personal email is DannyPersonalTrainer@gmail, whatever. So most of what I do is I train people one-on-one. There's some gyms I use in the city. I have my space in Brooklyn. I go to people's buildings. I meet them in Tompkins Square Park. I meet them on Coney Island Beach. I meet them uptown. I'm a trainer. I run around all day.
What do you do for the winter, though? Is it the same thing? You can't go on the beach. You can't go on the
We don't do the beach. You know, this person I train on the beach really likes the beach. So we push it as far as we can push it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So you don't have a home base. You basically every
I
gym
run around.
Right, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, I have my space in Brooklyn. Oh, this is funny, right? Because when our right to work was taken away from us because working isn't essential, you know, alcohol is, lotto tickets are. This was New York City.
Oh,
yeah. You know,
oh my God.
Marijuana dispensaries are. But no, we don't need work.
Health.
So I opened a gym. I call it. It was an illegal speakeasy gym, but I was training people out of my basement out of there.
Really?
During COVID. Because A, I needed to work, and B, people needed to work out. It was really funny. So I still have that space. It's better now than it was then. Mm-hmm. So I have that. But yeah, I'm running around. So then what happened is, and that's my main thing to this day. I'm 7 days a week. I work every day. If you want to train in New York, you find me, you call me, we'll find the time.
What are your rates? Can I ask you what your rates are?
Hit me up, okay?
We have a Groupon. Groupon will be coming out next week. We'll have a New York City Groupon. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, all good.
So you had to speak. But you know what? The one thing I did want to mention is 10 years ago, the New York Times did a story about doing weightlifting without weights.
Yes,
you and your brother.
Me and my brother,
yes.
Al, yeah.
And Al was doing something with his elbow, and I can't picture it in my mind.
Yeah.
But that must have came in handy for people who didn't have access to a gym that was stuck in an apartment.
That's so right. You know what's interesting is that New York Times article, it was called Urban Athlete, and it came out a long time
2013.
ago. And this was a workshop that me and my brother did at a place called Nimble Fitness in Greenwich Village. This was just a workshop that we did, and the Times did cover it. After that, then we started working with a parent company called Dragon Door, and that's when we introduced the Progressive Calisthenics certification. That's the one we traveled everywhere with. Europe, Asia, China, Taiwan,
you
Germany,
and your brother?
me and my brother Al. Yeah, we've been to all these places, plus all over the United States, teaching calisthenics. Awesome. And we have a book out called Get Strong, which was a body weight strength training program, which we put out 2017, 18. So then when COVID did hit, we gave it away for free. We put it on all our sites, download the book right here. Every motherfucker and their mother was out there being like, oh, look at my body weight workout I invented. We're like, homie, don't call it a comeback, because we've been doing this shit for years, you know? So we did give that out for free during COVID.
That's
absolutely. And you know, to be clear, the calisthenics thing is amazing. That's my belief as a trainer too. That's your strength. Train anybody with anything. I don't care. And that's my strength. I could go to any gym. I could go to the park. I could go to the beach. I could go to the gym in your building. I could go to the gym on Union Square. I could go anywhere, and I could train anybody with any equipment. And that's what we need to do as trainers, because you got to work with what you got.
You got to conform. You're right.
You got to work with what you got. You got to bring out the best within any individual, within whatever their circumstances are.
Yeah.
If they have X amount of hours to give, then I say, oh, go travel for an hour and meet me here. Well, that's a stupid waste of their time to spend an hour commuting. Good, I'm going to come to you.
That's smart.
So then after Get Strong, during COVID, actually, during that lockdown, I actually wrote, we didn't even talk about the new book yet.
No, we're going to get to that soon.
We're going to get to it in a second. I went crazy, right? During COVID. I guess a lot of us did.
So did I. I was just telling Annie that I closed down. I opened this place up and closed down 5 months later. And like you did, $650,000 to build this place.
I'll bet.
And it closes down, and I give everybody back their money and teach everybody for free. The way you gave away everything, and that,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I sold my car, refinanced my house,
The
took out
Mustang?
money. No, it was my BMW. My daughter, but I got rid of that car, and that was paying the salary. I didn't lay anybody off, and I knew it was going to be better one day. I just didn't know what day.
Yeah.
But that's the best thing.
Oh, it was fucking weird. I was like making LinkedIn profiles, like looking for jobs. I was like,
It was
Darren, do you need
crazy.
somebody to like stand there like a dick?
Yeah.
You know? Like, I was like,
Crazy.
what the hell am I gonna do? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Right. So, but during lockdown, right? So I went completely batshit crazy. I was working like 7 hours a week. You know, I was like, and it was generally like 5 in the morning to like 7 in the morning. So then what do? You know?
I know.
Besides drink, I was like, all right, well, let me work on another book. So I worked on a book called Hybrid Strength Training. And that's actually the most recent printed book, because the new one we're going to talk about is an ebook only.
Oh, okay.
But I bought you a copy.
Oh.
So this is Hybrid Strength Training. This is available, and it is available on Amazon,
That
too.
was the one thing I said. About
And so this is for you.
Thank you
I
so
wrote,
much.
To Mike Randy. Thanks for the
Thank
support.
you so much. I really appreciate. Yeah, my wife is heavily into fitness.
Okay,
she
good for
works
her.
out all the time. She was certified.
I gotta say, you look pretty good. How old are you these days?
I'm 52. Can you believe I'm 52?
I don't know what to believe
52.
anymore.
You're 48.
I'm 48. I'll be 49 in August. I talked to Mike Anderson today. He's turning 50 this summer.
Yeah, it's crazy. Right?
I know. I'm used to being the youngest person. Now
I
I'm
know.
the oldest person. What the hell?
Yeah, my wife. And to get to your book, which I want to get to, but your other book was amazing, and the pictures and the.
Oh, thank you.
We'll get to that soon. But do you have a publisher? Do you work with?
This book, Hybrid Strength Training, is published by a company called Dragon Door Publications. They're a fitness publisher. They actually. Have you ever seen kettlebells? It looks like a ball
I
with a
use them
handle,
all the
right?
time.
So if you know kettlebells, they're the reason why. They popularized kettlebells in America. It was basically
Really?
an old Russian strength training tool from back in the day.
Wow.
You'll see, if you look at old pictures of even like fucking Popeye, like you'll see him holding kettlebells and stuff. Seriously, it was really
Wow.
old-timey. They disappeared. They disappeared because you can't adjust the weight. So my publisher, Dragon Door, they brought it back in the
I
90s and early 2000s. And
And
they
it-
popularized it, and they brought kettlebells back. They're pretty much the reason why anyone is using them now.
Yeah.
So they also pioneered the body weight strength training thing, by working with me.
Did
And
you
my brother
see the
Al
Shark
Kavadlo.
Tank episode with the way they use the new? Because those kettlebells, it's a new contraption that goes on dumbbells. Did you see that?
I did not see the
They
Shark
actually, I
Tank.
think they actually took it and they endorsed it. So it's a contraption that becomes a handle on top of any barbell.
Okay.
Or dumbbell.
Okay,
And
yeah. There's a couple things like
Yeah.
that right now. This is one of those post-COVID things where
Yeah.
it's like people are like,
Exactly
what the hell
right.
am I going to do? A funny thing is I was talking about, I do personal training. Since COVID, I've always been against, the internet. Well, I've always been against the internet, but I've also been against, online training. But during COVID, I was kind of forced to do it. And it went really good.
Yeah.
So I do that. I do like the Skype Zoom training.
I saw
do
that in your book.
stuff
There was
too,
pictures of
101.
you in the book on the phone.
Real screenshots.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do that. So it's great because then I have clients all over America. I have someone in Singapore I was working with.
Wow.
People all over the place that I could work with doing that, and it helps me fill in the schedule. So it's really pretty incredible. It's been an amazing ride. It's been an amazing journey. And like right now, it's funny. It's like 10 years. We did this certification. The PCC certification has been going on actually exactly 10 years. I like numbers. Like I'm not like a
But you remember,
numeric
you
guy, but I
know
remember
dates and
certain
everything.
dates. And that European tour we were talking about I called it Euro Tour '94. It started June 6th. The very first PCC that we did also started on June 6th, which is June 6th of 2013. And we're doing another one coming up this coming
June
weekend.
6th.
It'll be June 3rd and 4th, but it's almost 10 years exactly to that. So like this June time is like a good time for calisthenics, for music, for beginnings, for good things. Summertime. I'm a summer baby,
Yeah.
So I like all this
That's
shit.
exactly right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. So I sent her the picture already, but the very first human flag was, I don't know the year or the date of this picture, but this is the picture of the very first attempt to the human flag. And you'll have this, of course, blown up on the side
Yes.
when we do this. But that was Danny Jan with his long hair, and that's Mike and
Yes,
Pete. And
yes. I'm doing a modified flag variation. over
exactly
there.
right. And that was
Yes.
probably the
So for those of you who are watching, let me look at that picture for a second. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
so on the left side of that picture, that's my older brother, Jesse.
With the
A lot
beautiful
of people
hair.
who are watching this know my brother Al, who does not have beautiful hair.
he has no hair, actually, right?
But yeah. Well, the joke is if you turn my head upside down,
You got out.
Then you got out.
That's exactly
right. But right, so that's Jesse to the left, and then Mike Randy over there, and then me doing my flag variation, and of course the late Pete Chinamo,
yeah.
Petey Weedy. So that's at Lemoore. That's at Lemoore.
I think you're right.
That's got to be.
I don't know the year, but do you happen to know the date?
1990.
You were still with Checkmate then.
So yeah, that's definitely Checkmate.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 90 or 91 would be my.
Those
guess
are what
for
we
that
call
photo.
the good old days, right?
Yes, that's right.
Man, that's when it was just a whole lot of different. So back to the human flag. So when I first saw you, it was you promoting the human flag. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I swear to God, I never did. I thought you invented it. And then I started, of course, Google searching it, but you could have invented it. And then when you do Google search, you get these people that are like, you can do it in like 1 hour.
they're all
Check.
lying.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you, by
But
the
what
end
did I
of
say about marketing?
I know. And by the guy, one guy's like on YouTube, by the end of this YouTube, you'll be able to do the human flag in 30 minutes. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So you have the human flag, and that's the name of your book, and you have like a regimen of not just what you have to do, but steps to do it, and you do it where it's almost like you do a little here, a little there. Like you start with 10 pull-ups, and you do 20 pull-ups.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, is like, I've seen people, I mean, look, I've worked with a lot of different people, and I love everybody. I've worked with a lot of different people, and people have said to me, okay, yeah, I want to learn the human flag. I'm like, all right, well, how are your pull-ups, how are your push-ups? It's like, oh, I can't do a pull-up. I just could really picture myself doing the flag. And it was very important to me that it's like, hey, flag is fucking hard.
Yeah.
10 pull-ups is fucking hard.
Yeah.
Most, like that's ambitious.
10
But
pull-ups, is that hard? I mean, I do pull-ups all the time. I mean, if you do it enough in practice,
Right. These terms are subjective. For the average 53-year-old who doesn't look like Mike
52.
Randy, 10 pull-ups is hard. But right, I mean, look, at any age you could do it. I know an 80-year-old man that does muscle-ups over the bar. His name is Jack. He's unbelievable.
Jack is jacked.
Yeah, Jack is jacked. Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm just talking about for the individual, let's say, that can't do 10 pull-ups. There's no way they're doing a flag. But this book, just to backtrack a little bit, when I got into calisthenics, look, I got into calisthenics before I got into strength training. I grew up in Brooklyn, Flatlands. We didn't have gym memberships. We were broke. Like, we did push-up contests on the floor. I had 2 brothers. Like, that was it. So calisthenics was first before anything. And then I joined Bally's on Kings Highway when I was 18. The flag, I remember when I learned it. I learned it when I was working at the Chain Gym because I saw someone YouTube wasn't really a thing, like tutorials and shit like that. So someone was telling me about it, and I saw like a picture of it, and I practiced it. And this is a true story. I practiced it on the side of a cable crossover machine at New York Health and Racket, 23rd Street, and it was ridiculous, right? It's like the training staff, literally, a word that gets grossly overused, but I'm using it appropriately. They took bets on when I would fail and just give up. And, looking back in retrospect, they were right for laughing at me. Like my arm wasn't strong enough. I didn't have any technique at all. And again, at the time, there was no YouTube tutorials, like I said. There was no poles in a gym. Yeah. Like all these apparatus you have in CrossFit gyms and stuff. You didn't have it. You had machines and you had this and that. So they were right for laughing at me. But I looked at it, and again, this is a case of your strengths becoming your weakness. My grip was too weak, so I practiced those pull-ups. My shoulder kept slipping out of place, so I really worked on alignment. And in time, after much effort, I was able to hold it for a brief moment. And then I fell on my fucking ass, and I couldn't do it again for about 6 months. But that's how these things go,
Yeah.
The first step to being great at anything is to sort of suck at it for a while.
LeBron didn't wake up to be a great basketball player.
That's how it goes. So with that, and then when this calisthenics thing really started getting very, very, very popular, the fact that me and my brother, Al, were able to do this advanced calisthenics stuff, and also at this point had a pedigree as working as professional trainers and nothing else in New York City, where it's an incredibly competitive market, and we also know how to read. Like, that's a rare combination. But so also, it really came into a thing where we could start putting out the books, start doing the workshops. We could compose a sentence and do a muscle up. Nobody can do those two
That's
things.
true.
So we cornered the market with that regard.
What about nutrition? I mean, you focus a little bit about nutrition. You said to me in the book, you said something like, I was 180 pounds, now I'm 168.
I dropped a lot of weight for the book.
You did, and you show the pictures.
I always do.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, kids. The hidden secret to all calisthenics is be as lean as you possibly can. The same body with a certain amount of muscle mass will always be better at calisthenics if it has less body fat and still the same amount of mass. Always, every body weight exercise. This is not the case with powerlifting. This is not the case with strongman. This is not the case with football. This is not the case with a lot of things, but it's definitely the case with calisthenics. So what I wanted to do, I got super shredded for the exercise portion of that book. The main reason I did it was so I could hold the fucking human flag for long enough to get a good shot.
Wow.
You know, because I knew if I'm 180, I could hold it for X amount of seconds. If I'm 168, I could hold it for twice as many seconds. And the photos were so important to me. I really wanted them to sing. There were so many books that I've done over the years where the photos were beautiful, but they were a compilation of either photos from one shoot here, from one shoot there, from one workshop here, from one workshop there. So for this one, it was really, really deftly important to me that there be in this exercise sequence. There's a lot of exercises from a plank on the floor to a human flag and everything in between. And I wanted them shot in the same setting, in the same lighting. Coney Island Beach, baby.
I saw that, man.
What better place? What more beautiful place?
There's a couple of things, though. You take it to the next
Yeah,
level, and
that's
then you
right,
take it to the next level.
motherfucker. Yeah.
So you have
beyond
that.
the human flag.
Yeah, you do. And then there was a woman standing on top of
Yes,
you while
the
you're
great
doing
Sue Me Red.
And
yes.
then you were doing pull-ups sideways
Yeah.
as a human.
Yeah.
You got to get the book. I
gotta
mean,
get the
if
book.
you got to get the human flag because you see pictures that you almost think are photoshopped. I thought you
Yeah.
photoshopped that whole thing.
Nothing was photoshopped.
It's amazing because
And I made the book on Canva myself. I did all the book.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
I can't believe it.
You got to get it
I hate
hardcover because I
computers.
really wanted to.
I'm going
buy
to print
it.
one out for you then. I got to do that. It won't look as nice as this.
No, that's cool. But Amazon, if you put it on Amazon, they could actually convert it into.
So
a
this
hardcover.
book, I mentioned Dragon Door earlier. Dragon Door did not publish How to Do the Human Flag.
Why not?
It seemed like a more natural fit with a company called Strong and Fit that does ebooks
Okay.
only.
I see.
And so this one is a little bit different. The Dragon Door publications, look, these Dragon Door books, they're beautiful. I mean, they're gorgeous.
They are.
They're published. They're printed. A lot of my Dragon Door titles have been translated to Mandarin, to German, to French, to Italian, to Japanese. Dragon Door handles all that stuff, but they're meaty books. And they're also geared towards a certain market. This was so niche. This is so esoteric. This is how to do the human flag. This isn't the ultimate 16 weeks transformation
right.
for building muscle and strength.
Which
This-
you get when you become a human flag.
You will get that,
Yeah.
but this was a little bit more esoteric, technical. And this company, and you know, in Dragon Door, you know, to be clear, and you know, I know there's some Dragon Door fans that are going to be watching this. These are my homies.
Yeah.
I love Dragon Door. John Duquesne, the CEO of Dragon Door, is and was and will always be a tremendous friend to me. He's one of the great mentors I've ever had in my life. I've been around the world with this guy too.
Really?
And this particular project, How to Do the Human Flag, I called him up. I was like, this is the thing I'm working on. I don't know if it's the right fit for you guys. Like, I don't know if this is the right fit for us guys either. And that's why I went with Strong and Fit, who are also fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And they're the right fit for How to Do the Human Flag.
Gotcha. So just curious, I mean, you're 48, and I can't imagine you're going to be this fit at 78, although you could be. Jack
Oh,
LaLanne.
baby, well, just wait. I'm getting better.
That,
yeah.
You see, that's awesome. Because my thought was, what happens when you just want to veg out and just, you know, not work out
There's a
every
lot
day?
of hours in the day.
You're right.
There's so many
And by the way,
hours in the
people who are
day.
making excuses can look at you and say, he's right. There are so many hours in a day.
There's so many hours. And you don't have to do that much.
Yeah.
You know, like we live in a world where if someone doesn't constantly cram sugar and carbs, and I don't want to be judgmental and shit, but I'm going to sound a little judgmental, and I apologize because things aren't so simple. But we do live, if we just want to say objectively, and I don't want to sound judgmental with this, but let's just objectively say that we live in a world where if somebody doesn't put sugar and carbohydrates in their throat every 2 to 3 hours, people say, what are you, dieting? What are you, it's like,
So true.
what? I went 2 hours without a bagel. It's okay.
There's your
I didn't
carbs,
eat a
yeah.
cookie today. It's fine. And that really is where we're at.
stigma.
So
You're
it takes sometimes stepping back and just shifting your perspective a little bit. It's the same thing like somebody who claims to hate working out. Well, let's be open-minded to this. So somebody who says, oh, I can't lose weight, or oh, I can't do that. I hear you, man. There's a lot of things I thought I couldn't do.
Yeah.
That I was right about, and some things I thought I couldn't do that I was wrong about. And maybe those things I was right about, maybe I'm actually wrong about them now.
Right.
And
I
these are
can
things
totally
we have
get
to
it.
kind of change our perspective. And just come at things from a different angle sometimes. Be open-minded to things, and sometimes accept that things don't have to be difficult. When you tell yourself, I don't care if it's losing weight or joining a gym or writing a book or learning a song, when you tell yourself something is difficult, in ways conscious and subconscious,
Yeah.
you render it difficult.
That's right.
You know, this thing starts, I don't care if it's doing the fucking dishes.
Yeah.
You know, all those dishes are sitting there, oh,
No, you're
I
right.
gotta do the dishes. Those dishes just took on a life of their own.
Yeah.
And you could have been done with them
You're
if 30
100%
minutes ago
right.
you just started.
It's all psychology, right?
Yeah.
They say 80% psychology, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, psychology. But there's a lot of things I wanted to say tonight, and before I forget is, I want to honor you because there's a lot of times when you look back and you remember the 8 days of Brooklyn, and you remember how some people just didn't get out of that Brooklyn, you know? And you are such a success and an inspiration to me because I could call you a friend. Like,
Yes,
we
sir.
knew each other when we had nothing, man,
Nothing.
And you are such a great guy. Your father, your mom, your brother, great family.
Thanks, man.
And I always loved being around you. And I could see why you're so successful, because people just love being or gravitating to
And
you.
I'm still in Brooklyn.
And you still are in Brooklyn.
I'm still in Brooklyn.
that is
I'm like, the older I get, I just feel like Brooklyn was just being sculpted around me now.
Right.
It's like it's changing, and I'm still here.
and that's great.
Yeah, I don't
And that's
mind it.
great. I mean, your brother took off. He's across
Yeah,
the country.
everybody's gone.
Yeah,
you're here in Jersey in this
Yeah.
amazing studio. I know you told me at the beginning. Mike is such a great guy. He says we're not talking about me, Danny Jam. This is all about you. But I just want to say this whole facility we're in Rock Out Loud over here. Mike is doing a lot of good for the world.
Well, I
He's teaching
appreciate
kids
that.
music all over the world. You just got back from Rwanda. That was like a year ago.
It's a year this week.
Wow.
I'm writing a book
teaching
too.
kids djembes in
Djembe,
Rwanda.
you know, just off topic, but I never taught a djembe before. But I know how to teach music.
Yeah.
So did you know that djembes were used for calling and talking to people in different villages? So depending on how they hit the djembe would depend on what their call and response was. So I had to teach a djembe lesson for the first time in Africa, virtually, because I was at home at the time. So you know what I did? I got each child to play the djembe in a different room, and they had to play a message and go around the entire village in this little area in Rwanda and call and answer. It was the most
amazing.
spectacular lesson I've ever did. But
Yeah,
that's-
I didn't know that, but it's funny. When I used to work at Sam Ash in Brooklyn, Flatbush,
yeah, I know that.
we had a drum, like, you know, so we had like the normal drum department, you know, whatever, Ludwig, Tama, Pearl,
Yeah, yeah.
all that stuff. But then we had like the drum buyer, his name was Terry. He would just find some weird shit and like just put it in the store. And we had an African drum, and it was called a talking drum. That's what it was called.
Really?
That's what the SKU was. It was called
Wow.
African talking drum.
Because that's what they used
was
it
the name
for.
of it.
Yeah.
All right, boom. I love when something comes together.
It's amazing.
Fucking 35 years later.
I
Oh, that
know.
makes sense.
But yeah, that was a great experience. But yeah, I do want to honor you and, you know, just give you some grace because you're actually changing lives too. I mean,
Thanks, brother.
not just because it's the human flag thing, but you're telling people that it's just also psychology. You know, when someone puts in their mind that they can't do something, and you could figure out a way to divert that and say you can do something, even though you might not think it's such a big deal, it's a big deal.
You know, we become our own worst enemy sometimes.
You're
You know, I've
100%
certainly
right.
been guilty of that in my life, and I probably will be again, and,
Yeah.
and we all are.
It's true.
But you know, another thing about the doing the right thing and just spreading positivity. Another thing that we did, you know, during COVID, even before COVID, I used to have a thing that I ran out of my basement before I made it into a real gym called Friday Fit Club, where my son and his friends, they would all work out.
That's
And it was
awesome.
really cool. They haven't done it, and we continued it during COVID. Shh, don't tell de Blasio, fuckface.
Hey, he's gone anyway. Right? He's gone anyway. That De Blasio.
Yeah.
Terrible. But anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
This is not a political
No,
podcast.
no. The quote I like to go with at these times is, as my role as a humanitarian forbids me from being political.
Mm-hmm. Perfectly said.
That's where I stand.
Well put. But I want to thank you again, and ladies and gentlemen, to find Danny, where is it? You had Danny.
Yeah, just Google me, Danny Kavadlo. Just Google me, Danny Kavadlo.
Human Flag?
I'm on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, you can Google Danny Kavadlo, Human Flag. I'm on YouTube, the Facebooks. You know, I'm weird with the internet lately. You know, I went through a thing where it's like I wasn't on it for a long time, and then when the books came out, I'm like, I better get on Instagram and all this stuff. And I was on Instagram, and then during COVID, when everyone went insane, and we weren't allowed to do anything but be on the internet, I was on the internet a lot. And then I went through a thing last year. I was like, I'm not posting anything. So if anyone reaches out to me, I will get back to them.
Yeah.
You may see my feed as like, this guy hasn't posted in 2 weeks. I'm around. I'm doing my thing. If I'm not posting, it's because I'm standing in front of people, making them do push-ups.
Or doing it sideways as a human flag.
Oh, yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen, Danny Kavadlo.